Hi, Hannah. How are you?
Good. Hi, Sana. Very nice chatting with you today.
Yeah, same here. Well, thank you for joining us from Kinshasa today. Let me introduce you to our audience. So, Hannah is an impact investor in Sub-Saharan Africa in general. She's based in DRC now, and she is the country officer for Proparco in DRC. Welcome to the interview today, Hannah. Can you tell us a little bit more about you?
Yeah, thank you very much for hosting me today. So, as you mentioned, I have been investing in Africa from an impact perspective for many years now. In the past 2 years, I have decided to go back to my home country, which is DRC, the Democratic Republic of Congo, which, as you might know, is one of the frontier markets of the frontier markets where sustainable development and challenges are quite acute. So, with my mandate as the country officer for Proparco. Proparco is a French development finance institution of the French government. We are trying to find ways to sustainably finance the economy, have an impact in sectors that are creating jobs, that are building the country, and we are investing in all sectors like healthcare, education, and obviously the agricultural sector. So very happy to talk about it today.
Amazing. Nice to have someone like you here today. I'm sure I'll learn a lot, especially about the agribusiness side. So, what about you tell us about what is the status of the agribusiness sector in DRC specifically and also in Central Africa in general?
So I think, unfortunately, the situation is not the one you would expect. While you are operating in countries where there is a lot of land that is fertile and where you would have the opportunity to produce a lot of, fruits, vegetables, and crops, unfortunately, because of a lack of technical skills, because of issues around land titles, and because, generally speaking, of the lack of a sustainable agricultural ecosystem, the food production level is very low. And DRC is one of the countries that is probably importing between 70 to 80% of whatever we eat. So obviously, it's really time for business operators, impact investors, stakeholders to come to the same table and to try to see how we can create a sustainable agricultural ecosystem. But I'm quite positive because I think in the past couple of years we've seen a positive sort of evolution where we see more, large agribusinesses companies here trying to work more with small farm holders and small producers to create sustainable value chains in our home market. We can see that governments, including the DRC government, but it's the same in the rest of the regions, are really putting agriculture and the agricultural sector as a key priority, in terms of budget and at least in terms of, I would say, priorities for the government. So hopefully we'll be able to see some interesting developments in the next few years.
Okay, that's great. So you mentioned some of the help the authorities that are implementing a little bit of some solutions. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
So basically, if we look at what we're doing here in DRC with the FD group, we are really trying to work at the same time with, the government to try to understand how the regulatory and legal framework should be amended or could be amended to foster growth in the agricultural sector. We're also trying to work with public agencies who are allocating capital to companies to see how we can, train the staff and build capacity so that they are more effective in their sort of general policies. But more importantly, we are allocating capital through debt, equity and equity-linked products, so long-term financing solutions to large agribusinesses who hopefully will be able to upgrade their facilities, their production lines, and to make sure that I would say the productivity of their companies increase as well and start, meeting the local demand, which is not met currently. Obviously, we're also working or trying to understand a bit better all the issues around customs, because when in a country like DRC, you have to import not only the crops, the food, the packaged foods, the equipment, you need to make sure that when it's coming to the ports in the various entry ports of the country, that the customs levels are acceptable. Like, there are a lot of point that needs to be amended. And I think in the past 2 years, we've seen all the stakeholders, public and private, coming to the same table and saying we need to find a solution, and we see a positive evolution.
Okay, that's fantastic. It's really great to get to know more about the agribusiness in DRC. So if you want to tell the investors, like from what I understand, you need more investment in this to bring the solutions to all the challenges that the agricultures are facing. So why do you think it is an attractive sector to invest in?
So I would say first in DRC, but I think it's quite similar in the rest of Central Africa, that we can define as DRC plus CIMA countries. You will find various types of corporates who can meet the mandate of different types of investors. So first of all, you will find a few large corporates printing like millions, not to say 10 of millions of dollars of net profit in the agribusiness sector, who are looking for large investments to, as I said, upgrade their production line, being able to export their products, to hire and train the right talent. So these companies can be suitable for a bunch of private equity funds who are already investing in Africa. Point number two, on the other spectrum, you will find more and more small farm holders and producers who are organizing themselves through cooperatives, who now together can produce a certain amount of food items like coffee, tea, cassava, maize. Maize is particularly relevant, and wheat is particularly relevant given the international environment. I don't need to elaborate on that. If you look at the eastern part of DRC, for instance, we know that there are a few cooperatives who are now literally exporting tons of coffee with the right quality, with the right level of certification. But those cooperatives need, institutional investment who can help them grow to the next level. And there is, I would say, a third element in this sort of equation. So I would say the SMEs operating in the agro sector, so who are not large enough, they are not large corporates, and they are not, I would say, smaller cooperatives. And those SMEs are maybe the trickiest one to follow, because they've still managed to scale to a certain level, but typically accounting is not great, governance is not right, they don't necessarily completely manage their distribution networks, the lack of vision, and they don't really understand the strategies that they need to put in place. So these type of companies require not only capital, but also a lot of, I would say, advisory work, which typically some investors are not necessarily ready to go for, smaller ticket size. So for those ones, we're still trying to work and see how we can create an ecosystem that will benefit all of them. But it's really very, very fascinating and interesting.
Great, fantastic. It looks really good. So from also now what I understand, I get to understand a little bit more about the agribusiness situation and the challenges, the opportunities. And I guess you are now actively working on implementing the solutions, right? With Proparco.
Yes, exactly.
So can you tell us a little bit about the projects?
So hopefully in let's say in 4 to 8 weeks, fingers crossed, we will announce our first corporate transaction in DRC, which will be a $14-15 million loan to a large agribusiness in the country. So this is something that is quite exciting and shows that you do find in DRC corporates who are following international standards and are completely investable. So that's point number one. Point number two, at Proparco, we have signed an agreement last year with USAID and one of their, I would say, stakeholders, cross-boundary, whereby this advisory boutique is providing us market studies on the agri sector, assisting companies in the country to build financial models, prepare their investor presentation. So we are making sure that we are working hand in hand, so that after a few months of collaboration, hopefully there are two or three companies that USAID cross-boundary would have prepared, and that those companies will be able to come to us at Proparco, and hopefully we'll be able to finance them. So this partnership was signed in December last year. Hopefully we'll be able to make some announcements as well in the next 2 to 3 months, showing again that a certain level of cooperation, not only between obviously impact investors and companies is required, but also between the various advisory boutiques, impact investors, and public stakeholders. So we're working on that. And I guess just to finish on a sort of, how you would say that, trendy note, obviously the agri-tech sector is quite key to solve, food challenges in Africa, generally speaking, but including DRC. So I've been an angel investor in my personal capacity for a few years now, have set up a few investment clubs in South Africa and DRC, but pleased to announce that we have backed one agri-tech company here in DRC, which is called Wenze Mobile. The name is not that relevant, but it's just an app or a solution that helps to connect small farm holders to restaurants and supermarkets, and because this part of the value chain in terms of logistics, transport, even inventory management, quality management is missing. You have small farmers who are not educated enough to understand the requirements of supermarkets, hotels, restaurants, and on the other hand, you have those organizations who increasingly want to source, products locally, right? We are all trying to fight global change, whatever you call it, and avoid, unnecessary international transport and trade. So once you have a technological solution like this company who is bringing everyone to the same table, with obviously a component of a fleet of trucks and to move the goods, then you start really changing the industry, making it more efficient, more profitable, more agile. So we're also looking at those agri-tech ventures from time to time. But obviously, when you look at this type of investment, the size is a bit different, and obviously the skill set you need as an investor is also a bit different. But we are hopefully trying to cover the entire spectrum of the agri-business sector and to have a bigger impact.
Yeah, great. I think, the agri-tech, as you're saying, is the future. I think this will really accelerate all the development that you are talking about. Great. So do you have any other thing to add in general?
No, first of all, thanks to you guys, and thanks to you, Sana, for hosting us today, and to provide a forum for frontier markets to explain what we do, what we live, and how we are becoming more and more an investable destination. And then I just want to tell all the participants to please feel free to reach out to me should you want to do agri investments in DRC. Large corporates, SMEs, agri-tech, we're here to assist you and to find ways to collaborate, and looking forward to staying in touch.
Amazing. Well, all the best, Hannah, and see you soon.
See you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Hannah. Bye.
Bye.